Speaking of the SEC, reports came out. I don't know. I guess last week, Matt. We're switching gears here a little bit, but
I think I know where this is going.
reports came out about North Carolina being, you know, somewhat tethered to the SEC in the future. Uh, what are you hearing? Anything? Are you hearing anything behind closed doors about that you can share? And what do you think is going to happen there?
I'm not going to, I believe Inside Carolina was the one who was
Inside
kind of
Carolina,
on
yes.
that.
Thank
Yeah,
you, because
yeah.
I couldn't remember who it was, and I wanted to give him credit. So thank you.
Sure, I do too, and I'm not I don't know who they spoke to. I'm not gonna denigrate their reporting or anything like that. Um, I do have questions though, right? Because to me, it's still there are way too many possibilities here, right? So the stuff we talked about, let's kind of ground this a little bit.
Hmm.
So the Big Ten, or sorry, the SEC is not adding anybody tomorrow. They're not adding anybody soon, right? Like for UNC to get out of the ACC, be like $150 million, something like that, right now, where it's not really realistic. Now, in a few years, it is, yeah, but right now, it's not really feasible. Where I don't think anybody's leaving. So what can change in the next couple of years? Well, obviously, North Carolina is going to have a new athletic director. Bubba Cunningham is stepping down from that. Might they have a new president or chancellor? I mean, maybe, right? It's not crazy to think about it. And might that person have a different view? Might some trustees change out? Look at the SEC side of it. Again, here in Florida right now, the Gators have an interim president. I don't know who's going to be the intern or the actual president in. I don't know who's going to be it a year from now, let alone 4 or 5 years from now. So how will that, and then multiply that times Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Tennessee, right? So I don't know who's going to be making those decisions for the SEC. I also don't know, as we've discussed, what is behind this. Is it conferences wanting to expand? Is it the schools and presidents where the academics matter, like we've discussed? Is it private equity where academics do not matter? Does Bill Belichick win 10 games for the next 3 years? Does he go 4-8 for the next 3 years? Is there something in the middle? So, like, am I surprised that that the power brokers at North Carolina now might prefer the SEC? No, I'm not. That's perfectly reasonable, perfectly viable. However, that's not going to happen for a bit. So to me, it's one of those like, let's check in a couple years when like push is coming to shove, as opposed to now where like, could it happen? Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff to get here. There's a lot of stuff to go between now and then. Let's put it that way.
Agreed. And in that same report, I think they mentioned Clemson as being the potential partner or whatever to go along with them. Do you see that as a if this does happen in a couple years, do you see Clemson as a potential candidate for the SEC, or do you think they would want to go another route like Virginia or somebody else?
Again, it depends, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Clemson would. I doubt Clemson would be the first choice. I think it's so weird too, right? Because for so long, back when I was in Tulsa and the Big 12 was going to self destruct, and the Pac-16 was going to have Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and whoever, and Texas. The big thing was TV markets, right? Where how many TV households are in your area that you bring? That's not the thing anymore, but it still does kind of matter. So,
Right.
like from that perspective, Clemson doesn't add any new markets, right? South Carolina is already there, but they are a really big brand nationally, and might very well win the national title this year, right? Like, to talk actual football, that's totally possible. So could the SEC be interested in them? Yeah, of course. Same thing with Florida State would be another one, or like you said, Virginia, maybe Georgia Tech if they get their act together. Um, what would be interesting as we kind of game this out would be, how much does the Big Ten want those schools, right? Because again, I don't think Clemson and Florida State would be the first choices of the SEC. But if the Big Ten wants them, and now it's kind of a tug of war match thing with, well, we don't want you in our territory.
Right.
We don't need you, but we don't want the other league in here, right? Like, you could see all sorts of scenarios like that and how they play out. So again, it is reasonable to think that Clemson in the SEC, that could be a marriage in 5 to 10 years, but I'm not. I'm writing that down in very, very light pencil with a bunch of erasers beside me, right? I'm not anywhere close to predicting that or anything to that nature right now.
Yeah, fair enough.